Hello, this is Roland. Today I'd like to read you a small section from The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis. This is the 5th chapter. Thomas à Kempis says, "Truth, not eloquence, is to be sought in reading the Holy Scripture, and every part must be read in the spirit in which it was written. For in the Scriptures we ought to see profit rather than polished diction. Likewise we ought to read simple and devout books as willingly as learned and profound ones. We ought not to be swayed by the authority of the writer, whether he be of great literary light or an insignificant person, but by the love of simple truth." The love of simple truth. "We ought not to ask who is speaking, but mark what is said. Our curiosity often impedes our reading of Scriptures. When we wish to understand and mull over what we ought to simply read and pass by. Our curiosity often impedes our reading of the Scriptures when we wish to understand and mull over what we ought simply to read and pass by." Well, that's very excellent, so let's talk about that. See, it's the internal testimony. It's the important thing. It's the inner light from God. The inner light, God is the source of all good. And all you have to do is find that inner source from God. And you have everything. There's a beautiful Christian hymn. It says, "Come, thou fount of every blessing. Come, thou fount of inner blessing." You could think of the light from God. See, it's one thing, but it has everything that the human being needs. It's like manna from it's everything. So, wisdom, patience, love, kindness, forbearance, insights, inspiration, motivation, it's all there. Now, there are various terms for it. We can call it the inner light from God. We can call it intuition. We can call it what we know in our heart, what we wordlessly know in our heart. We can call it motivation, but it's everything. So, now do you understand? That's where the good is coming from. That's where insight comes from. That's where love comes from. That's where understanding comes from. So, you pick up the Bible, like let's say the New Testament. You just open it up to any page and you start reading a little bit. And if nothing, then put it away and go about your business. Go about your work. If you read and then all of a sudden something is highlighted, it's like it's highlighted. It's like, oh, I get it. I see. I understand. You see deeply what it means. See? Now, how do you see it? How do you know? See? It's from within. The Spirit is bearing witness within and quietly, wordlessly saying, yes, this is true. And then it goes beyond. You see that what it is saying is true. I'll never forget, this was maybe 10 years ago. All of a sudden one day, I heard or saw or read where Christ said, all who sin are slaves. Well, it was meaningful somehow. And I began to have insights as I went around and saw people and what they do and the mistakes they make and saw my own life. And I understood deeply. And I saw over and over again, deeper and deeper, more and more, the truth of that simple phrase, all who sin are slaves. And for months. See, that one phrase led to a plethora of insights and realizations. So you read a little something, and all of a sudden, it's meaningful. See? Or you start to get it. You get it. And then that's enough for the rest of the day, for the rest of the month, maybe, the rest of the year. That one thing, from it, all kinds of insights come. But you see, for every truth that you realize, so what is the Word made flesh? Can you see that when in the inner light, you actually realize truth, wordlessly realize, you see it? Do you realize that it's becoming flesh? You, your little mind and your little body and your little nervous system are seeing in God's light. And it's becoming flesh. It's like a plant, a beautiful plant, the rose bush, lifts up its leaves and receives the sunlight. It loves the sunlight. And from that sunlight comes everything. Sure, the plant needs a little water and a few minerals from the ground, but basically, everything comes from the sun, the warmth, the light, and magically, that sunlight becomes leaves and beautiful roses. See? So magically, your insights, your realizations, your aha moments, your eureka moments, and yes, sometimes a little bit of a sad moment or a little bit of embarrassment when you realize your folly from the past. You realize something you did, oh my gosh. See, you see it, and you're sorry. That's also your being, your mind, your body, responding to the truth. And when you respond to the truth, see, you're no longer responding to the lie. You're responding to the truth. You're not responding to a word on a page or what somebody said, see, or some words written on the internet. You're responding to the truth itself. So it's the most wonderful thing. And that's what Thomas of Kempis is trying to say. See, some people, they read with the wrong intent. See, they've got some agenda, some plan, some goal. See, so you mustn't set any goals. You mustn't have a plan. You just simply sit down, you read a little something, and it's like from God. It originates with Him. Your insight, your realization, it originates from Him. And the words on the page in the Bible or some book or what somebody said. So you can be, some little kid can say something, and you hear what the kid said, and you realize the truth. See? So everywhere you go, everything you do, you can see a leaf and realize. You can see the sun, or you can see someone's mistake, and you realize what their mistake is. You just see it. So when you read, just read lightly. Don't try to memorize. Don't have a plan. Don't have a goal. Just read lightly until something is meaningful. Sometimes the meaningful thing is something stands out. Why do I suddenly notice that? You wonder. Well, you just wonder. Wandering is innocent. And then you'll see, as the days and weeks go by, you'll see. And sometimes what you read or hear, it leads to immediate insights where you see it deeply immediately. But then after that, more and more. See? So be grateful for that. And don't become greedy. See? That also ruins it. And don't use whatever knowledge you have to parade around and impress people. Just breathe it in. Wow. You see it. Be grateful. Sigh a sigh of relief, and then go about your business. And if more insights come, that's a bonus. If they don't, then other insights will come. Something else, see? It's never ending. It goes on forever. And it's a process of perfecting in God's light, being perfected in God's light. Not something you're doing. He's doing it for His purposes. So be grateful. Be grateful. My name is Rose.